My husband had always dreamed of making it big as a rock musician. Meanwhile, I was managing our living expenses and funding his promotional activities. I even covered $3,000 a month for his father's caregiving costs at his request. Despite all this, there was no sign of him succeeding, and worse, he began slacking off on his music career. Whenever I tried to discuss it with him, he became defensive, insisting that I should just listen to whatever he said. It became increasingly difficult to continue living like this. I decided to at least ask my mother-in-law if she could help with the caregiving expenses. But then 10 years ago, my husband passed away. Right after his death, I discovered his betrayal, which left me devastated. My name is Sadi, and I'm 37 years old. I work for an event company handling a variety of clients. 2 years ago, I married Keith, who is 10 years younger than me. My friends were concerned when I shared the news of our marriage, mostly because of the age difference. I understood their worries, but I was determined to marry him. We're currently living together in an apartment, though we haven't been able to have children yet. When we were dating, everything seemed perfect. We never had big fights and got along so well that I believed our married life would be smooth sailing. Unfortunately, I was in for a rude awakening. Keith was a member of an indie rock band, mostly performing at local venues and regional music festivals. He was dedicated to his music and worked hard to become famous, but he couldn't make a living from the band alone. So he juggled multiple part-time jobs. We met when I volunteered at one of his shows. His passion for music was so inspiring that I felt compelled to support him. Initially, I was cautious because of the age difference and intended to keep things professional. But while managing his band, Keith started making advances towards me. At first, I thought he was joking, but he was serious and openly expressed his feelings. "Sadi, I really like you. Why don't you give me a chance?" I was taken aback by his direct approach. "You're kidding, right? I'm 10 years older than you. Someone like you could easily find a young, pretty girl," I responded. Keith was a wild-looking, handsome guy with a lot of female fans, while I was more of a plain Jane, focused on my work, and had missed the typical age for finding a husband. Not that I was eager to get married anyway, I preferred work over romance. Plus, my older brother has 3 kids, so my parents never pressured me to settle down. I couldn't believe that someone like Keith would have feelings for me, but he persisted. "I don't care about fans who are only interested in my appearance. I prefer mature women like you, who respect and support my dreams and are capable at work. Marry me," he said. His earnestness won me over, and I began to see him as a potential partner. After dating for a while and giving it serious thought, I decided to marry him. I was determined to support his dreams. We didn't have enough money for a wedding, so we had a simple ceremony at the city hall. After that, Keith moved into my apartment and we started our life together. My parents lived on the opposite side of the country, and we couldn't afford to visit them. We planned to visit each other's families once we were more financially stable. But shortly after our wedding, Keith wanted to discuss something with me. My dad was paralyzed in an accident a while back, and he needs constant care. Unfortunately, I can't go back often, and my mom is getting old and can't move around much either. "Oh no, that sounds really tough," I said, feeling concerned. "Is there something I can do to help?" Keith looked at me hesitantly. "Yeah, actually, his care costs $3,000 a month. I've been cutting corners to make ends meet, but I'm reaching my limit. I'm really sorry, but honey, could you pitch in a $3,000 each month?" I was taken aback by his request. My take-home salary was only about $3,000, and Keith made around $1,500. If I sent my entire salary each month, we barely have enough left for rent. Sensing my hesitation, he suddenly grabbed my hand. "Honey, I'm really counting on you. My parents have been supporting my dream for so long, and doing nothing about this wouldn't sit right with me. I'll work hard to become famous, I promise. Please?" At his desperate plea, I decided to tough it out. "All right, but if it comes out of my income, we won't be able to sustain ourselves. So for now, I'll use my savings. You've got to pay it back sometime, though." "Thanks, love. I'll definitely pay it back. Heck, if I make it big, I'll spoil you rotten." Just to be safe, I made him sign a promissory note. Even though we were married, I thought it would be better to handle these things properly. Paying $3,000 a month hurt, but I tried to remind myself that it was for a good cause. I just hoped his band would become famous soon. Unfortunately, things didn't go as I'd hoped. 2 years later, there was still no progress. Not only that, but Keith had stopped promoting his band altogether. They didn't even get together to practice anymore. He spent most of his time lounging at home or using the pocket money I gave him to go out. At first, I thought he might have given up on his dream. "If you're not continuing with music, you need to find another job," I told him one day. When I asked if he had given up, he insisted he was still pursuing his music career. But despite his words, there was no sign of him restarting band activities. One day, I couldn't take it anymore and confronted him. "Hey, can't you just get back into playing shows already? Or at least try some part-time jobs, even short-term? It could be a fresh start, you know." "Yeah, maybe when I'm in the mood," he replied casually. "You said that last time, but you've just been chilling without working. If you keep going like this, we're going to be in serious trouble. Just earn a little something for God's sake." His nonchalant attitude ticked me off, and I unintentionally raised my voice. He glared at me and got defensive. "Shut up. Don't you dare complain about men's work. I'm just taking a break because I'm in a slump. I'll get back to it when the time is right." I was stunned by his sudden outburst. He had never been so nasty to me since we got married. But his lack of work was seriously messing up our finances. My savings were dwindling because of the monthly caregiving expense for my father-in-law. Our life was on the brink of falling apart. I tried discussing the possibility of reducing the amount I sent each month. "We're barely afloat, Keith. We can't sustain our life on just my income." "Cut down the amount? That'll make my dad suffer and make life harder for my mom." "Are you planning to abandon my parents?" "It's not like that at all, but we're running out of money. We have to make some changes." "Figuring that out is your job as my wife," he snapped. "Reducing the amount is absolutely out of the question. If there's not enough money, go get a part-time job or something." He furiously stormed back to his room after that argument, leaving me at a loss about how to deal with his absurd demands. Unfortunately, his troublesome behavior didn't end there. Lately, he's been going out with friends and coming back extremely late. It's not uncommon for him to return in the dead of night, or sometimes he doesn't even contact me and just shows up in the morning. When he does return home, he reeks of alcohol and perfume. When I asked him where he'd been, he casually said he was just out playing around and drinking at bars. "Okay, if it's just you drinking too much, I can understand the alcohol smell," I told him. "But what's with the strong scent of perfume?" I asked him to at least let me know where he was going, but he refused to listen. "Don't complain about my hangouts with my buddies. I just happened to get that perfume smell at the bar. Don't go jumping to conclusions," he snapped. However, his eyes were darting all over the place, and he was sweating, so it was crystal clear he was lying. He used to be sweet when we first got married, but now there wasn't a trace of that left. In fact, I felt like he was treating me more like a cash cow than anything else. Divorce began to cross my mind, but there was also the matter of the caregiving fees I'd been paying. I still had the promissory note, but I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get that money back after the divorce. With no other option, I decided to consult with my in-laws. While Keith was away, I made up my mind to call them. When I cleaned his room, I found an old-school notebook with phone numbers written in it. Something about it made a strong impression on me. While he was out, I went into his room and dialed one of the numbers written in the notebook. A woman's voice answered. "Hello, who is this?" "Oh, hi, this is Sadie. You don't know me. Is this Mrs. Florence, Keith's mother?" Yes," she replied, sounding surprised. I explained to her that I was his wife. She was shocked because she hadn't heard from him in years. "I never thought he could get married," she said. "He's lazy and always talked about becoming a rock star." "I'm really sorry for the delayed update," I said, feeling guilty. He was earnest in pursuing me, and well, I'm quite a bit older than him. I blurted that out as if making an excuse. Then I brought up the issue of caregiving expenses. He asked me to pay $3,000 each month for his father's care. But because he's not working, my savings are about to run out. Is it okay to reduce the amount? There was dead silence on the other end of the line. Then, before I could sense what was coming, she dropped a bombshell on me. "My husband, he passed away 10 years ago. Keith has been estranged from the family for years, and we haven't been in touch." "What?" I stammered. "His father is gone, and he's been estranged? I'm sorry, could you please explain a bit more?" As we talked, one shocking truth after another came to light. I realized I had been deceived by him all this time. My entire body trembled with rage. All the effort I had put into supporting his dream had been for nothing. I would not let him get away with this. I was determined to make him pay for what he'd done. A few days after my call with my mother-in-law, Keith was out late again. Normally, I would have been worried about where he'd been, but now I felt relieved because I wasn't interrupted in my preparations. When he finally returned, just as I finished my task, he widened his eyes as he looked around the room. Then he started yelling at me. "Hey, what the heck are you doing? Don't touch my stuff without permission." I stared at him coldly. "You need to get out of this apartment, and we're getting a divorce. You'll be hearing from my lawyer soon." "What the heck? You can't just say that out of the blue." "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted. "I know exactly what I'm doing, but do you? What have you done with the $3,000 I've been paying every month for your dad's care, which you lied about?" He froze at my question, so I continued without giving him a chance to speak. "I contacted your mom. She told me about your dad's passing and how you've been estranged from the family for years because of repeated misdemeanors like shoplifting." His face turned pale, and he desperately tried to come up with an excuse. No, it's not like that at all. I was buying band equipment. It was pricey, so I was hesitant to tell you. It's for work, so it's fine, right?" I was disgusted by his pathetic excuse. Even if that were true, the fact remained that he lied and deceitfully took money from me each month, and especially because it was all built on lies. There was no way I could forgive him. "I'm not up for vague excuses. You used the money I gave you on your affairs, right? I've got proof, and it's all been checked." His notebook had listed a bunch of women's phone numbers, and when I called them, 5 of them confirmed they were romantically involved with him. They had all been lied to about him being single. When I confronted him with this, his face turned red as a beet, and he became enraged. He even tried to attack me, but at that moment, a sharp scream came from the back room. "Enough!" Out poured a bunch of women, his mistresses, all of whom I had gathered. The color drained from his face as he went from red to white in a second. They looked ready to unleash hell, especially since some of them had been seriously considering marriage. They pounced on him, shouting, "You jerk," and "You scumbag," as they towered over the cowering Keith. Outnumbered and fueled by anger, they were a force to be reckoned with. Amid the chaos, Keith was grappling and crying out, "Please stop. I messed up, I'm sorry." Once they had enough of him, each of them spat out, "I'll never forgive you," and were done, before storming out one by one. He was left in a sorry state, completely stunned. I laid it on even thicker. "Just so you know, I'm demanding alimony for the infidelity, and you're paying back the $70,000 I've paid in caregiving expenses. I've got the paperwork, so there's no running away." He suddenly looked at me and begged on his knees. "Please, honey, don't divorce me. I'll pay back the money over time, and I'll change my ways and work seriously. Please, don't leave me." His pleas fell on deaf ears. At this point, I felt nothing but annoyance. "Are you kidding me? After lying and stealing money from me, you're saying this now? Using your deceased father as an excuse is despicable. Now I understand exactly why your mom disowned you." "Please don't say that. I'm really remorseful," he pleaded. "It's too late for me to believe that now. I never want to see your face again. I'll contact you through my lawyer, so get the heck out of my apartment right now. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police." I kicked him out right then and there. After that, I successfully divorced Keith and collected the money he deceitfully took from me, along with alimony through my lawyer. When I threatened to fight in court if he didn't pay, he quickly transferred the full amount into my account. It seemed he had racked up some debts somewhere. Moreover, he had schemed 2 out of the 5 women he had an affair with. They came after him too, but he couldn't afford any more debts. He turned to his estranged mother for help, begging for mercy. I heard that even though she had disowned him, she didn't want him causing trouble for others, so she forced him to pay them back. In return, she sent him to work day and night on a deep-sea fishing boat owned by a relative until he paid off his debts. He's probably getting tossed around in rough waters and being worked rigorously right about now. On the other hand, I got my money back plus alimony, so I'm living a carefree single life. I'm hoping to meet someone sincere next time around.